Feeling trapped by who you are? How to escape your fixed identity.
Have you ever felt trapped inside a story? A story you didn't consciously write, but now you perform it every single day. The story of who you are. The reliable one, the anxious one, the one who is not creative, the one who is strong and never asks for help. We carry these titles like heavy armor, believing they keep us safe. But have you ever stopped to ask, what if this armor has become a cage? What if the identity you've worked so hard to build is now the very thing holding you back, keeping you from the growth, the relationships, the life that calls to you? There is a profound ache that comes from this kind of stagnation, a quiet desperation that whispers in the late hours of the night. Is this all there is? You feel a pull towards something more, something different, but the thought of stepping outside that defined character feels like a betrayal, a kind of death. We are going to explore this feeling today, not as a problem to be fixed, but as a profound invitation. I want you to imagine that your identity, your sense of self, is a magnificent stone statue in the center of the garden of your life. You have spent years, decades even, carving it. Every piece of praise you received was a polishing cloth. Every criticism, a chisel that chipped away a part of you. Every success added a layer of marble, and every failure told you where not to carve. You stand before it now, and in many ways, it's a masterpiece of survival. It is familiar, it is solid, it is predictable, but it is also cold, heavy, and it cannot move. You have spent so long perfecting this statue, you've forgotten that you are not the stone. You are the sculptor, and you are holding the tools to change it at any moment. For the next 25 minutes, we are not going to shatter this statue. That would be a violence to your history. Instead, we are going to learn what it means to be the artist again. We are going to find the sculptor who lives within the stone. This isn't a video to passively watch. This is a workshop, a journey inward. If you are ready to pick up the chisel, not to destroy but to transform, then consider this moment your commitment to yourself. A quiet pledge to reclaim your own artistry. We will complete this journey together. Let's begin by walking around this statue. Approach it with curiosity, not judgment. Look at its posture. Is it braced for impact, puffed up with pride, or slightly stooped as if carrying an invisible weight? Notice its expression, fixed for all eternity. Is it a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes? A look of intense concentration? A subtle frown of worry? This is what the great psychologist Carl Jung called the persona. It is the social mask we present to the world, the version of ourselves we believe is acceptable and worthy of love. It is a necessary tool for navigating society. But the danger, as Jung warned, is when we mistake the mask for our actual face. When the performance becomes so constant, we forget there is a living, breathing being behind it. This statue is the ultimate persona, so perfectly crafted, so consistently displayed, that it is fused with our sense of who we are. This is the state of identity fixation, a psychological rigidity where our self-concept becomes an obstinate, unyielding thing. We build this statue from the whispers and shouts of our past. A parent says, "You're so responsible," and we add a layer of stoicism. A teacher says, "You're not good at math," and we chisel away our curiosity for numbers. We succeed at something, and we frantically try to replicate that exact pose, hoping for the same applause. This is how the story becomes all-consuming. We are no longer a person who acts responsibly. We are the responsible one. And this fixed identity has devastating effects on our lives. In our relationships, we unconsciously demand that our partners, our friends, our children admire this exact statue. When they suggest we might be more than our stony facade, when they see a flicker of something new in us and encourage it, it can feel like a threat. They are not seeing us. Their love feels conditional on us changing, when in reality, they are offering us the freedom to be more. This rigidity makes communication a minefield. Feedback isn't a gift. It's a hammer blow to our carefully constructed image. Vulnerability is not a bridge to connection. It is a crack in the marble, a sign of weakness that must be hidden at all costs. Now, I want you to do something with me. Bring to mind a label you carry. One of those I am statements that feels as solid as granite. It could be, I am a worrier. I am shy. I am not an artist. I am a people pleaser. Choose one. And now, for just a moment, I want you to try and feel where that label lives in your body. Does it sit as a tightness in your chest? A knot in your stomach? A weight on your shoulders? Don't try to change it. Don't judge it. Just notice its physical presence. That sensation is the weight of the statue. It's the tangible cost of holding that single rigid pose for so long. You have been carrying this, but you are not this. You are the one who is noticing. Now, look down at the base of your statue. What do you see? Every statue, no matter how brightly lit, casts a shadow. And in that shadow, sprawled on the ground, are all the pieces of marble you chipped away and discarded. All the parts of yourself you deemed messy, unacceptable, or unworthy of being part of the final sculpture. This is the realm of what Jung called the shadow. The shadow is not inherently evil. It is simply the unconscious, disowned part of our personality. It's the home of our repressed weaknesses, our raw instincts, our undeveloped potentials. It is the anger the people pleaser is not allowed to feel. It is the wild creativity the responsible one has no time for. It is the desire for rest that the strong one sees as failure. It is everything we have refused to acknowledge in ourselves. And because we refuse to see it in ourselves, we become experts at seeing it in everyone else. This is the mechanism of projection. We look at another person's anger and we judge it as chaotic and dangerous because we cannot face the rage simmering in our own shadow. We see someone else taking a creative risk and we dismiss it as foolish or frivolous because we cannot bear the grief for our own abandoned artistry. The more rigid and perfect our statue is, the longer and darker its shadow becomes. This is the source of so much of our defensive language, our quickness to anger, our black and white thinking. When someone offers a piece of feedback that touches on one of these disowned parts, we don't just defend the statue, we defend it with a primal fury. Because to admit they might be right would mean turning around and looking into the terrifying darkness of our own shadow, at all the parts of ourselves we have called ugly. We create a world of good people who are like our statue and bad people who act out our shadow, with no room for the complex, messy, beautiful gray area where real humanity lives. This all-or-nothing thinking is a hallmark of a fragmented self, a mind that cannot hold two realities at once, that we can be both strong and terrified, both kind and capable of rage, both disciplined and longing for wild freedom. Let's try a small exercise in awareness. Think back to a recent moment when you felt a sudden, surprisingly intense flash of irritation, judgment, or even disgust towards someone else. It could have been a stranger on the street, a colleague in a meeting, a character in a film. Don't analyze the person. Instead, ask yourself with gentle curiosity, what quality in them triggered me? Were they being loud, needy, confident, lazy? Now, ask an even braver question. Is there any part of me, however small, however deeply buried, that longs to express that same quality? Could it be that they were simply living out a piece of your own shadow? You don't need an answer right now. Just hold the question. Let's take a deep breath together. Inhale curiosity and exhale judgment. By simply being willing to look, you are already beginning the process of integration. You are starting to gather the discarded pieces of marble. There is a pervasive myth in our culture about personal growth. It's the myth that finding yourself means discovering some finished, perfect, authentic statue inside you. That if you just dig deep enough, you'll unearth this essential, unchanging core of who you really are. But this is a trap. It's another quest for a fixed identity, just a shinier one. The profound truth, the one that can set you free, is that you were never the statue to begin with. You are the living, breathing, ever-changing sculptor. The true journey of self-realization, what Jung called the process of individuation, is not about arriving at a state of perfection. It is about embracing the ongoing, lifelong process of becoming whole. And wholeness means acknowledging and integrating all the parts, the light of the statue and the darkness of its shadow. The goal is not to be flawless. The goal is to be complete. Now, let's imagine it. You are standing before your statue, and in your hand, you feel the cool, weighted presence of a chisel and mallet. You know instinctively that a change is needed, that this rigid form no longer serves the life that is trying to emerge through you. But you are frozen. Your hand trembles. The thought of making a new mark, of altering the familiar lines, is utterly terrifying. What if you ruin it? What if you chip off the wrong piece? What if the whole thing crumbles to dust? What if, in trying to become something new, you lose yourself entirely? This is the fear of change. And it is never just about changing circumstances. It is about the perceived threat to our identity. When we resist a new career path, a new way of being in a relationship, or a new habit, we are not just resisting the unknown. We are resisting the death of the old story, the story of who I am. This brings us to what psychologists call the authenticity paradox. We use the noble idea of authenticity as a shield against the discomfort of growth. We say, it just wouldn't be authentic for me to be more assertive at work. Or, I can't set that boundary, I'm just not that kind of person. We say authentic, but what we often mean is familiar. We are clinging to the known contours of the statue because the alternative feels fake, like being an imposter. But think of any skill you've ever learned. Learning to write, to drive a car, to play an instrument. In the beginning, it all felt awkward, unnatural, and inauthentic. You had to consciously guide your hands, think through every step. It was only through that period of uncomfortable, seemingly inauthentic practice that the new skill became a natural, integrated part of you. Growth feels like a betrayal of the old self, because it is. It has to be. You cannot become the sculptor while remaining convinced you are only the stone. This fear, this rigid clinging to a static self, is what leads to life stagnation. Our career stalls because the role requires a flexibility our identity forbids. Our relationships wither because intimacy demands a vulnerability our statue cannot show. Our personal lives feel gray and repetitive because we keep walking the same worn path around the same unchanging monument to our past. Let's do another interactive exercise. I want you to imagine one small, concrete change you would like to make in your life. Don't think about reinventing yourself. Think of one tiny chip off the stone. Perhaps it's choosing to listen instead of immediately offering advice in one conversation. Perhaps it's saying no to one small request that you would normally say yes to out of obligation. Perhaps it's dedicating 15 minutes to a creative hobby you told yourself you're not good at. Picture that specific action. As you hold it in your mind, allow yourself to feel the resistance that comes up. The fear. The voice that says, "That's not you." Acknowledge that voice. Thank it for trying to keep you safe in the familiar. And now, gently, I want you to shift your focus to the other side of that fear. What possibility lies there? A little more peace, a little more self-respect, a flicker of joy. Feel that too. Both are real, the fear and the possibility. Growth is not about eliminating the fear. It's about choosing to act for the sake of the possibility, even while the fear is present. So how do we do this? How do we begin to sculpt? It is not with brute force. You do not take a sledgehammer to your identity. The tools are far more subtle, and they belong to a skill set known as psychological flexibility. This is the true art of the sculptor. The first tool is acceptance. Acceptance is not the same as approval. It doesn't mean you have to like the rigid parts of your statue or the dark parts of your shadow. It simply means you stop fighting the reality that they are there. You acknowledge the knot of anxiety in your stomach without needing it to disappear immediately. You acknowledge the flash of anger without judging yourself for it. You stop the war inside, because in that war, you are both the attacker and the attacked. You are wasting precious energy fighting parts of yourself. Acceptance is laying down your weapons. The second tool is called cognitive diffusion. This is the profound ability to separate yourself from your thoughts. Your rigid identity is built on a scaffolding of thoughts, repeated so often they feel like facts. I am a failure. I am unlovable. I am not capable. Diffusion is the practice of seeing these thoughts for what they are, just words, images, and sensations passing through your mind. They are not direct orders. They are not objective truths carved in stone. They are simply old stories. A powerful technique is to rephrase the thought. Instead of, I am anxious, you gently say to yourself, I am having the thought that I am anxious. Can you feel the space that one simple change creates? In that space, there is freedom. You are not the thought. You are the vast open sky in which the thought cloud appears and eventually drifts away. You are the observer of the story, not just a character trapped within it. The third tool is being present. The rigid statue is a monument to the past, and it is propped up by anxiety about the future. It rarely exists in the here and now. The practice of mindfulness, of bringing your full attention to this present moment, the feeling of your breath, the sounds in the room, the sensation of your feet on the floor, is an anchor. It pulls you out of the looping stories of who you were and the fearful projections of who you might become, and it places you in the only moment where change is actually possible, right now. In the present moment, you are not a fixed identity, you are pure potential. And finally, the fourth and most crucial tool, values. If you are going to chip away at the statue, you need to know why you are doing it. What are you sculpting towards? Your values are your chosen life directions. They are not goals to be achieved, but qualities you wish to embody. Honesty, courage, kindness, connection, creativity. When you know what your core values are, they become your compass. You make your chisel marks not out of self-hatred for the old form, but out of love for the values you wish to express more fully. The question is no longer, who am I? But what truly matters to me in this moment, and how can I take one small step in that direction? This is the essence of contextual authenticity. It isn't about having one rigid, authentic self for all situations. It's about having the flexibility to adapt your behavior to the present moment, while staying true to your core values. You can be compassionately firm with a child and collaboratively open with a colleague, and both can be expressions of an authentic self guided by values like love and respect. For so long, we have been obsessed with the statue. We have measured it, judged it, polished it, defended it, and despaired over its flaws. We believed that our entire worth was tied up in its final, unchanging form. But the great revelation of this journey, the true aha moment, is not about the stone at all. It is the realization that the ground beneath the statue was never solid to begin with. It is a river. Life is constant, fluid, unrelenting movement. The rigidity we believed was our greatest strength was in fact our greatest vulnerability, leaving us brittle and prone to shattering in the face of life's currents. True strength is not found in permanence, but in adaptability. The only way the statue can survive the river is to learn how to dance, to allow its form to be shaped by the flow, to bend without breaking. Your work, then, is not to decide on a new, perfect statue to carve. That is just another trap, another prison of a fixed identity. Your empowerment comes from falling in love with the process of sculpting itself, to embrace the truth that you are, and always have been, a work in progress. And that is not a flaw. It is the whole point. Your next step is not to plan a grand reinvention. Your next step is to make one small, courageous, value-driven chip. Not to prove to the world that you are different, but as a quiet affirmation to yourself that you are alive, that you are growing, and that you are free. When that old voice of the fixed identity rises up and says, You can't do that. That's not who you are. You can now meet it with a gentle wisdom. You can look at it, and with the quiet authority of the sculptor, you can say, I see you. Thank you for trying to protect me, but I am more than that story now. And I have work to do. So leave the cold, silent gallery of finished statues behind. Step into the studio of your life. It may be dusty. It may be messy. There will be discarded pieces of marble on the floor, and it will be beautifully, wonderfully, divinely incomplete. Your masterpiece is not a final form to be displayed. Your masterpiece is the courage you show up with each day, to pick up the chisel and to continue the dance of creation. Your life awaits, the marble awaits, and you are finally ready to begin.